Welcome back. Shrimps and prawns are Nigeria's third largest agricultural export, worth $12.5 million. However, it employs very few people, but many people believe that this part of the seafood market is capable of contributing to Nigeria's food security, improve Nigeria's trade balance in international markets, and create employment opportunities for thousands of citizens. But how is this market performing? Well, to answer this question and more is a research analyst at the financial derivatives company, Pamela Basidiuk. Good to see you, Pamela.
Thank you for having me, Lucy.
Now, Nigeria has a territorial shelf of 804 kilometers and an extensive deep-sea frontier, yet it produces only 15,000 tons of shrimps and prawns, which is about 0.5% of global production. Why is this?
Okay, so it's important for us to know that shrimps and prawns are important seafoods that are consumed worldwide, and they are more valuable financially than fishes. So one begins to wonder, why do we have such a low production in Nigeria? And it's due to a couple of reasons. First off, Nigeria does not have a deep shrimp and prawn culture, as it is consumed outside Nigeria more than it is consumed locally. And why is this? One, because it is quite expensive and is mostly demanded by the elite. Two, it's used mostly in restaurants for prawn cocktails and then other seafood delicacies. And then if you go to a typical domestic Nigerian home, you would mostly see meat, fish, and chicken. The second issue is the discovery and the exploration of oil and gas, as it has done a lot of damage to our aquaculture in the form of water pollution. Thirdly, while still on oil exploration, it's caused displacement of workers. So what this means is that workers are moving to oil companies, and they'll rather move to oil companies than be a fish farmer. And that's another issue. Another issue is capital intensive. So it can only be done by individuals who have these funds. So the cost of a trawler alone, a fishing trawler, is ridiculously expensive. And then it is also skill intensive. So it requires people who have the right amount of expertise. And you look at it in Nigeria, there's a lack of infrastructural development. So what this means is that we don't have enough cool storage rooms for these shrimps and prawns. And then if you look at it in terms of waste management, it is quite tedious as well. So those are the main reasons.
Now, talking about workers now, shrimps and prawns are Nigeria's third largest agricultural export, and it's worth about $12.5 million. But just like you mentioned earlier, it employs very few people. What can be done to change this?
Actually, aquaculture used to employ a lot of people before the discovery and exploration of oil and gas. However, environmental hazards and the displacement of workers, which was caused by this same discovery and exploration of oil, are the main reasons for this low employee amount. But in order for Nigeria to increase employment in this area, Nigeria needs to, first of all, try and reduce water pollution that comes from this oil exploration. Let all companies be held to the highest standard, so to ensure that they reduce water pollution to the barest minimum. Secondly, trawling is quite expensive, and trawling is the method we use in getting this fish and prawns. So it's, like I said, it's both capital and skill intensive. So in order for Nigeria to be competitive, Nigeria needs to invest in skill development. So those are the things that we need to improve employment in that area.
Pamela, who are the leading producers of shrimps and prawns in the world, and are there any lessons to be learned in Nigeria from these countries?
Okay, so the leading producers are mostly Asian countries. So we have the likes of China, India, Vietnam, and Indonesia, and Thailand, rather, sorry. So Nigeria, if you look at these countries, they've invested a lot in making sure that they abate water pollution. Then from there, they've gone into the deep sea, they've made revenue, they invest this revenue back to increase production and then the yield of the shrimps and prawns. So in the same way, Nigeria first off has to address these water pollution issues, make sure that all companies adhere to high standards. And then you also have to, from there, you have to go back and tap into the deep sea, make revenue, invest this money, and then so that we can not just increase production, we can also increase crop yield. So that's what Nigeria has to deal in this part. So backward integration will be best for Nigeria.
Research analyst at the financial derivatives company, Pamela Basiduke, thanks for speaking with us. And that's our program today. Thank you for watching. I'm BC Adibayo.